Members, it is now time to call to order the meeting of the Environmental Affairs Panel, the first meeting for the session 2014 to 2015. First of all, we need to elect the chairman of the panel. Members, please note that in accordance with Rule 77(6), a member who is the chairman or deputy chairman of a government advisory body in respect of matters which a panel considers to be directly related to terms of reference of the panel shall not be the chairman or deputy chairman of the panel, and a member shall not be chairman or deputy chairman of more than one panel at the same time, according to Rule 77. And then in accordance with House Rule 22 and Appendix 4, we can now hold the election of chairman and deputy chairman. Valid nominations can be made by a member verbally, to be seconded by another member verbally, and to be accepted by the nominee. Nominations, please. Mr. Christopher Chong. I'd like to nominate Mr. Gary Chan. Seconder, Mr. Chen Hang Bang. Mr. Gary Chan, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Any other nominations? Kenneth Chen. Seconder, Mr. Wu Chi-wai. Kenneth Chen, do you accept the nomination? Yes, I do. Is there a third nomination? Madam Chair, I'm not nominating any candidates, but then I've done so at two previous panel meetings, and that's in relation to the motion to adjourn, and this is in relation to or in accordance with paragraph 3.58 of the Handbook for Panel Chairman. I would like to move a motion to adjourn. I do understand that at two panel meetings this morning, there was a similar proposal from a member. Do we have any legal advisors present? Maybe the Secretariat can explain the matter to us. Thank you. As the clerk to the committee, as the clerks to the two panels which had meetings this morning, I would like to say that we are not holding any discussion about policy issues. Rather, we are having discussion about administrative issues. So, Rule 22P doesn't apply. No, I do not accept the interpretation of the Secretariat. There is a motion, there is a voting. I've already looked at Askin May, and now you have a motion, you have a proposal, you have a second. So I think they are all in line with the requirements or elements of a motion. I don't accept the Secretariat's explanation. Of course, it is up to you to make a ruling. After you have made the ruling, now it is important to elect the chairman of a panel. I think you can exercise discretion. You can allow candidates a brief moment to explain their platform. My understanding is that this happened at two panel meetings this morning. Unfortunately, we haven't got any legal advisors present, so Secretariat, please forward Mr. Albert Chan's view to our legal advisor. I think at a House Committee meeting, other members will also like to follow this up. Mr. Albert Chan has suggested that perhaps the candidates should be invited to give a brief explanation about their respective electoral platform. I think if we would you like to claim a division, we need to ring the bell for 5 minutes. But then that would take longer, and yet you may want to give the candidates a minute each to tell us about their platform. I think the two are not exclusive of each other. We are really worried that somebody like Leung Sing would become the panel chair, and that would bring disgrace to the electoral. So I'd like to ask you to give time to the candidates so that they can briefly talk about whether they can assure us that they will be open and fair in chairing the meetings. Now, I'll let you speak to the topic, that is whether we need candidates telling us about their electoral platform. A show of hands, please. It's fine if we claim a division. I would like to ask our clerk to check to see if all members are present. If that's the case, we don't need to ring the bell. Otherwise, we need to ring the bell for 5 minutes. So, clerk, please check for us. Not everybody is present. We haven't got everybody here, but we've formed a quorum. But if not all members are present, and if a member would like to claim a would like to summon members back to vote on the matter, well, the quorum and voting are two different issues. Why don't we do it quickly? Let's ring the bell immediately for 5 minutes.
佢冇舉手，佢頭先。哦。 係咁。
So Mr. Chen's motion, or rather Mr. Chen has asked candidates to explain their electoral platform. Those who are in favor of having a statement about the electoral platform. Those who are in favor, hands up please. James To, Albert Chen, Kenneth Chen, 3 of you. You are not a member, sorry. Who are against letting candidates speak about their electoral platform. Elizabeth Quat, Chen Hanpeng, Priscilla Leung, Tam Yu Chung, Kwok Wai Keung, Stephen Ho, Wong Ting Kwong, Chen Kin Po, Vincent Fang, Francis Yik, Gary Chen, Christopher Chung. 12 opposed, 3 for. So candidates do not have the opportunity to talk about the electoral platform. We now go into the election procedures. In accordance with paragraph 3.44 of the Handbook for Panel Chairman, I would like to say the following. We may move a motion without notice if a member without notice in relation to a particular agenda item move a motion. So that's about an agenda item. Now currently the agenda item is the election of chairman. So in accordance with the wording in the chairman's handbook, a member may without notice move a motion, and then the chair will have to deal with it accordingly. Paragraphs A, B, and C. So I would like to move a motion without notice. Mr. Albert Chen, the Secretariat have already told us that the election process may not be sort of conducted in accordance with what you have referred to. That is paragraph 3.44. This may be controversial, but I would like to take the advice from the Secretariat.
Now, Mr. Albert Chen, please let me finish. For the time being, I will listen to the professional advice of the Secretariat, and I believe members will be raising this issue at the House Committee to clarify how the procedure should be carried out. Mr. Albert Chen has moved 2 motions. Now, in order to avoid disputes, let me read it out quickly. The first one is that the motion is moved to make sure that the chairman of this panel shall be impartial in protecting members' rights to speak. And the second motion is that the chairman must reassure that when the fire alarm is set off, the meeting will be suspended for evacuation by members so as to protect the safety of members and belonging and properties of members. Now, would the clerk please clarify the procedure? Mr. Albert Chen raised a point about 3.44 of the Chairman's Handbook, and it's actually quotes from the House Rules 22P. So same as what I said in the beginning, because what we deal with today is not the policy matters within our purview, but administrative arrangements. So our view is that the House Rule 22P does not apply. I must reply, Madam Chair, because what the Secretariat said is not true. I raised the point about the motion to adjourn, and the Secretariat explained with some justifications, but 3.44 is another matter. 3.44 doesn't say anything about anything related to policy matters. It's about a motion directly related to the agenda item. It's just the agenda item. It doesn't say whether it's related to any decision or any policy. So, according to 3.44, and regardless of how you interpret House Rule 22P, Madam Chair, I think you should read it more carefully. It's completely different from the point I raised about the motion to adjourn. is completely different from what is said in House Rule 22P, and the Secretariat has mixed up the two. I think professionally there is a mistake here. Members, including Mr. Albert Chan, at this stage, I'm still chair of this panel. I choose to listen to the professional judgment made by the Secretariat, and I will proceed with the voting procedure. I think members who have other views will follow this up at the House Committee meeting and will seek clarification on this legal point. I will be more than happy to be responsible for the decision made, and I would let members know that I'll be happy in such an event that the election process will be declared void. Now, if there are no other nominations, I declare that a secret ballot will be held. Staff members will distribute ballot papers to members, and CHOP with designation will also be given, and the candidates will be allocated a designation based on the sequence of their nomination, and members will be required to affix a CHOP on the ballot paper to the preference. Candidate number 1 is Mr. Chan Ha-kan. Number 2 is Dr. Kenneth Chan Carlock. Since this is a secret ballot, please do not show your ballot paper to anyone else, and our completed ballot papers can be just turned over, and there is no need to fold the ballot paper. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong. Now, after I vote, as I will also be attending the next meeting, can I leave right after filling in the ballot paper? You must submit the ballot paper into the ballot box first before you leave your seat. I'm sorry, but we haven't finished distributing the ballot paper. I'm sorry, but we haven't finished distributing the ballot papers. So please be seated. There are some procedural matters to be dealt with. Please be seated. Has any member not been given a ballot paper? All right, if members have completed the ballot papers, I declare the secret ballot closed, and staff may not further distribute ballot papers, and staff may now collect. No, don't leave your seat. You'll be subject to challenge. Please return to your seat. Follow the procedure, please. Let me read out. It will take 20 seconds, but if you talk back, there will be more. Now, please personally put the ballot paper in the ballot box before putting your paper in the ballot box. Please do not leave the seat. Mr. Chan Kin Po, please put the ballot paper in the box before you leave your seat.
Will
the secretary please collect ballot papers from those who wish to leave in a hurry? Members, even if you're in a hurry, we must follow procedures or the decision will be challenged. Please remain calm. Have all the ballot papers been collected? Now, would the members making the nominations of candidates, Mr. Gary Chan and Dr. Kenneth Chan, to come up and watch over the ballot counting process? Mr. Christopher Jung nominated Mr. Gary Chan, and Mr. Charles Mok nominated Dr. Kenneth Chan. Oh, well, the procedure is not here, so Mr. Ban Chan. even in accordance with the Legislative Council ordinance, those watching over the counting process can be the agent or the proxy of the candidate instead. So, Mr. Gary Chen, do you agree to have Mr. Ben Chen to monitor the counting process? Yes. How many ballot papers have we distributed? 21 altogether. Let's see how many we have collected. Just 20. Just 20 collected. We distributed 21 and have 20 collected only. So what should we do? You haven't voted. Oh, I'm sorry. I was so busy dealing with the points of order raised by members. It's void, but all right. 21 ballot papers distributed, 20 returned. The remaining one is here. I'll show you. Let's read out the votes. Number one. 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 Number two. Number two. Number two. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number one. Voting result: 14 votes for Mr. Gary Chen and 6 votes for Dr. Kenneth Chen. I declare Mr. Gary Chen returned chairman. Thank you, Ms. Sito, and thank you for your support. Now, the next item on the agenda. Well, because just now when the result is announced, it's past the scheduled meeting time, and Madam Chair did not announce any extension of the meeting. So the meeting should have been adjourned at 11:45, so the election is nullified. Wait, I will ask a legal advisor and secretariat for their opinion. A moment, please. Maybe I will allow the legal advisor and the clerk some time, or the secretary some time. Mr. Gary Fan. Well, I was at another panel meeting, and when it came to electing the deputy chairman, the process stopped because the meeting had gone beyond the scheduled time. And after distributing the ballot papers, because of that, the ballot papers will have to be collected. I've consulted the Council Secretary's view. Deputy Secretary General, please refer to Rule 24A. The chairman has the right to extend the meeting by 15 minutes before, either with or without announcing it to members. So, Deputy Secretary General has made the point. I think you can refer to the rules of procedure in front of you. Asset is in 24A of the ROP, so the election was valid just now. As we have gone past the 15 minutes or the scheduled meeting time, we cannot elect the deputy chairman, and we will do so at the next meeting. And as for the dates scheduled, meeting dates, so if there are no other comments, as they have been circulated to members. Some may be clashing with the public holidays, and I suggest we follow the proposed changing of dates by Secretariat. So if there are no other matters, meetings adjourned. The Deputy Chairman will be elected next time.